Hey everyone, welcome to Advent Member Talks, our weekly programming highlighting different Advent members on the topic of their choosing. My name is Sam, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm the Director of Member Experience at Advent Co-working. We are a creative co-working space, an event space, yoga studio, podcast studio, art gallery, all of the things, but most importantly, we're a community and we love getting to highlight our members, the different skills they have, the different industries that they work in, and give folks an opportunity to not just share with all of you, not just share with the Advent community here, but also just with the greater Charlotte entrepreneurial community as well. So today I'm really excited. We're joined by Charlotte from Trips for Kids, a really, really great nonprofit that we partner with. Charlotte's currently taking over our Instagram, so make sure you go and check that out for some fun stuff. And we have some really exciting new programming with Trips for Kids. So stay tuned for all that good stuff. But I'm gonna hand it over to Charlotte. We're gonna be talking about reusable menstrual products. So Charlotte, please take us away.
Thank you, Sam. As Sam mentioned, my name is Charlotte and my pronouns are she, her. And yeah, I'm really excited to share about reusable menstrual products. It's not something I often get to just talk about very openly, even though it's something that I'm really excited about as far as a choice that I've made in my life, and is something I really want to, through sharing my knowledge and my experience, to hopefully inspire more menstruating people to make the switch if it's within their means to. So first, I wanted to talk a little about why go reusable. And I don't really know what was the moment in my life, but I think I was considering it, and I saw these cute little reusable pads in a pharmacy once, and written on the box, and I can't tell you the brand because I feel like for credit reasons, but written on the box said this thing, and it was so powerful, it made me switch. And it said reusable menstrual products. Ew, gross. But think about a lifetime of your menstrual waste sitting in a landfill or in the ocean. That's gross. And so when it put it into perspective like that, as a person who would be using these disposable products every month for 25, 30 years of my life, that's a lot of waste. And it's a lot of kind of, it's not the kind of waste you just want to happen to step into, you know what I mean? A lot of disposable products on the market actually have a lot of additives in them. And there's a pretty big myth about menstruation being unclean. Actually, your menstrual blood comes out it's sanitary, it's sanitized. Same with your urine. And oftentimes they use this the disposable industry will use that ploy of uncleanliness or whatever to add things into their products that aren't really good for your body, such as bleach and chlorine. Also, in the perspective of time, I remember also, this is not my thing, this is someone else's thing, but if we had to live if every menstruating woman before the 21st century had left her waste, think about that. And so it's also putting into perspective what we're leaving for people. And so it's also to show that women have figured out ways over time to not leave a big impact through their menstrual products. So that's sort of like the big why. I think one of my personal whys also was I do backpacking. Many times in my life, I've lived between many homes, or like I've changed residences a lot. I do extended, like I said, backpacking, cycling trips and things like that. And having one little product has in many ways been a lot easier. It's easier for me to keep track of, and I don't have to keep spending money. If like if I don't, and that's it. Like if I forget my cup somewhere or something happens, you know, I do every now and then supplement with some disposable products, but they're not the main. They're not like my main thing. So I just wanted to pass over to Sam, just to see if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Charlotte. So yeah, thinking back to when I first switched over to reusable products, pretty sure I was in college, maybe like sophomore, junior year or so, and I just happened to fall into a group of friends who, were more just kind of, environmental and like sustainably like minded and more aware of just kind of these different issues when it came to, consuming meat, which is unrelated to this, or, using like reusable menstrual products and like all that kind of stuff. So I happened to meet these really cool folks with that information. And we had a Earth Fair in walking distance of our apartment at the time. And I remember seeing like the box for Diva Cups. And I think before, I wasn't really familiar with those alternatives. I'm mostly, pretty active. So mostly was using like tampons and stuff like that. But just learning more about the kind of like waste that was like accumulating, and also just probably more so really having to remember to buy the stuff each month, because I feel like I would always forget, and I'd always then have to be like, oh my god, and have to like run to the store, which sounds, you know what I mean, it's just like hard to keep track of. So I was like, all right, well, if I have this one thing, then I always have it, and I'm just gonna use that. So when I first switched, I was using a Diva Cup, which I liked. I used that for like many years. I think most products, they'll let you know kind of how long you can use it before it's, you might need to switch it, or all that kind of stuff. At one point, I learned that there's lots of different menstrual cups, and you can actually find ones that may better fit your body. So I, did some research into that, and I tried out a different brand. I'm totally blanking on the name of it. I didn't like it as much as the Diva Cup, but it was still cool to try out. But now I use a sea sponge. I don't remember how I came across it. I think it was like a business that popped up on my Instagram for me. It's called Holy Sponge, and they do a lot of education for folks on how to just use reusable items, from like menstruation items to bath things, or just other like personal care stuff. So I found their reusable like pads, so I got a bunch of those, and then I also got a sea sponge. I can go more into what a sea sponge is if you'd like, Charlotte, or we could wait on that.
Actually, yeah, go into it, because the next part, we would talk about just like the different products available on the market and the ones we've had experiences using. And then someone did ask the question, what are the best materials to use and what should you avoid? Mm-hmm. Which is a good question. And so, yeah, I'll, if you want to start off, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in regards to like what products you should like be using, like there's so many different options out there, and we all have like different like body types, different activity levels, like different access to water or what have you. So like there's lots of options, and like it's really like whatever works best for you, and whatever you're able to access that allows you to like do everything that you want to be doing, or what you're required to be doing if you have work and all those other like obligations and stuff. There's definitely research and stuff about like different products and like what's in them. I can't talk on that at all. Charlotte, maybe you have more to like add on that specifically, but yeah, so the sea sponge specifically, sea sponge, it's a living creature, lives in the sea, as it sounds. Um, I've heard it's like one of the like oldest living things on the, it's one of the originals. I don't know. I should stop trying to explain the science aspects to this. But pretty much they get harvested from the sea. It's really important when you're looking into sea sponges that you're making sure it's being ethically harvested. So they're not just cutting off the entire thing, they're just taking off of the top, because the sea sponges, they will regenerate, they'll keep growing. So you do want to make sure that, you know, it's being sustainably harvested, and that also the places that you're purchasing from are sterilizing it, because when you are using something from nature, it's, you know, it might have salt or sand or like other like mineral deposits like on it. So you really want to make sure that the business you're purchasing from knows what they're doing and like knows the product they're working with. So that way you're not, you know, purchasing something that could actually be harmful for your body. And again, I totally don't know all the science behind that, but that is what a sea sponge is.
I'll materials to use and which you should avoid. From what I've seen and learned about, especially the cup, I'll start with the cups. Most of them are made of almost entirely of silicone, and silicone is, it's, as far as I know, very safe to have in your body. I would say if you're looking through different brands, see how, I guess, what is the word I'm looking for? I guess how transparent they are about what goes into their product. Anything that similar with food, you know, anything that seems like it has a list, or you might not know what that thing is. You might want to do more research into that. But for the most part, at least with the Diva Cup, I've used two different brands now. Diva Cup, and then this brand called Salt, SAALT. And I'll share my screen in a minute and sort of show you their websites. Both of those are, I think, 100% silicone. And I would say, and so lastly, for the reusable pads, especially if you're making your own, just to be mindful of the fabric you're using, because there's going to be most DIY pad stuff on Pinterest. If you want to sew your own, they're just made out of cotton or flannel, you know, or organic, you know, if you can do organic, but you can, I have friends who use their old clothing, but if you're using something with, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like not so breathable, maybe there's other things within the fabric. It also has a lot to do with the sensitivity of your skin, especially for the pads. So if there's and if you're, and that's also to know when you're washing them. You know, I wouldn't use most of the cups. The sanitation process is just to boil them for 3 minutes before you use them, and then after each cycle you sanitize them again. So you only sanitize them twice per cycle, pretty much. And not, and in general, not to use disinfectants or soaps or like anything with like added chemicals to wash. You shouldn't be washing your cup with that, because those things, silicone can like absorb a little bit. And so then if you're using a strong chemical to clean your cup, it then could, like, you're putting that in your body and it's chilling there for a while. So, but weirdly, a lot of those things are what go into most mass-produced tampons. Are things that really aren't, I don't know. I just, I don't know if you'd want, you know, you wouldn't dump chlorine on your skin like so readily. So why would you, you know, internalize it? And so that it's kind of a mindset around like what to use and what not to use. So I've mentioned the cups, and so has Sam. Those I would say are a really great option if you're on the go. The or just, you know, wanting to make a single investment and have your one product. They're really great. I've used Diva Cup for many years, but one thing that I will say about the cup is that there is a bit of a learning curve. And actually my experience of it was initially a friend of mine. She had the Moon Cup, which I don't know if that exists anymore. but it was one of the earlier prototypes, and she had a bad experience with it, where she was not able to get it back out, so she had to go to a doctor. I think those kinds of things, and first I want to like address those fears. It's like they are all valid, but if your proper a thing with her was, it was actually like she tensed up and feared, and so wasn't like not unable to extract it herself. So a lot of it had to do with like going into panic mode versus the product failing. But the one thing with the cup is that I find there is a learning curve, and that my body has changed. And so what worked at one point in my life, I had to switch cups recently because I guess I've done more yoga or something, but my old Diva Cup was leaking a lot more. And when I switched brands, I noticed it's like I don't have any leaks with the brand. So I went from Diva Cup to Salt, and the Salt is a different shape. And you do have to get comfortable with your body. You have to be comfortable with like going inside, like to adjust it and to remove it. It's really not that bad once you're used to it, but I understand that initial, if you're not someone who's like comfortable with yourself, or like have been like that way, like have been exploring or even like used to that, then it can be this like wall, this barrier. It's like, oh, I don't want to do that. There's also the question of like, okay, well, you use it and it's full, what do you do? Most of the time you're in a bathroom, so you can empty it and then just rinse it and put it back in. In backpacking and stuff like that, as I mentioned, I'm gonna talk about body stuff now, guys. So, but urine is sterile when it comes out of the body. It doesn't have bacteria or stuff in it. So if you don't have a ability to rinse your Diva Cup, you can pee on it a little bit and put it back in. So that's some, and so that, you know, it's again one of these things where initially, if that's not, you know, like, whoa, like what? No, body stuff. But really, I find that that's been one of the more beautiful parts of the process of switching, is that I am much more comfortable with my body. It's sort of like called me to understand it better and to pay more attention. And that's always a good thing, is to have a relationship with your whole body. The last product I want to talk about, and I am not paid or sponsored by She Thinks, but oh yeah, there's two. There's reusable pads and reusable panties. Now I'm gonna go just share my 2 cents, and a lot of women have a different experience. So I would, you know, just if we get more comfortable talking about periods, maybe you'll find out people among you have different experiences. I have used several brands of reusable pads. My friends have made some for me. I have always had leak problems with those. They never quite stay put. I don't find them very reliable. Now, I guess like a few years ago, they came out with the period panties, and I will say those are my favorite things ever. And I always was like, what, we put people in space, like we put satellites on Mars before we figured out period panties. But anyways, they're here now and they're great. The brand, I've tried a few different brands. The one that I have had 100% success with is the She Thinks. And actually I can like share my screen. If Instagram hasn't advertised them to you already, I would say go right ahead and talk to your phone, make sure they're listening, so that you start getting those ads. They're remarkable products. I've bought like they make a thong for light days. I've bought the heavy the underwear for overnight. And the best part about them is that they look really cute, like they're cute underwear, and I've never had a leak. If I've like put the appropriate one with the appropriate flow, right? Like,
Charlotte, I think we might have just lost your sound, though it could totally be my computer also. Okay. Maybe
Okay,
try. Oh, you're back. Oh,
I'm
wait.
back.
Yeah. Cool.
Ah,
Go
okay.
on.
Maybe that was the universe telling me like don't shame a brand. But basically, there are other brands that haven't worked as well for me. So if you're gonna make that upfront investment, I would recommend She Thinks. They often do bundles. As far as sizing, I find their sizes are pretty accurate. If uh, the uh, the other brand, it's called Joya or something. That one I found ran really small. So I ordered what I thought was my size, and it was a little tight. Um, and so I don't know if there's anything else you want to add. I've been sort of talking for a while. So.
Yeah, no, you've given me like lots of thoughts that are not totally organized. But I'm glad you pointed out like the cleaning process, because I will say like with the sponge, it really lasts, 3 to 6 cycles before you'd have to change it out. So it's definitely not as long term as something like a cup is. And the cleaning process, it's also to sterilize it in hot water. Um, some places suggest using tea tree oil, but again, like essential oils can be harmful to your skin. So that's just totally dependent on your body and your own sensitivity. So I would definitely be careful, with using any other additives to that. It's funny, I actually was backpacking this weekend, which y'all, I don't really do this often. I like once a year so far. I've done it twice. But I actually like opted not to use a sponge because to clean it, you have to wring it out with your hand. And just because our first night we weren't near a water source, I wanted to, make sure that I wasn't needing to use water to, rinse this extra thing. So I used, like tampons. So it's like totally a choice, and like you can switch in and out of like what you're using. I definitely in that moment was like, I should pull out my cup again, because that would have been like a better solution for this time. Um, so yeah, so lots of different options. And Charlotte, you mentioned like the upfront cost of it. And so I wanted to speak on that too, because that's a huge barrier. The cost of like disposable items, they're a lot cheaper up front. So like even though we know we're going to be spending more in the long run, if you don't have access to the funds to like put up $30, in one go, that really makes it inaccessible for you to do these products, especially when your body is going to be different and may not work well with the first item you choose, right? Which means like, okay, well, then you have to buy a second item. I personally, and that's really messed up. So like if you're using disposable items because that's all you have access to, like that's what you have. Like I don't want anyone to feel like, shame for using like disposable stuff. Like I just said, I literally am using disposable items at the moment. So it's like totally chill. I really think menstrual products should be like free. For folks, it's absolutely a barrier to folks who menstruate to be able to access like society in general. In so many different like countries and times, we've seen folks be like, have to stay home or not be able to like go do things because they don't have access to like these products, or like getting like infections because they don't have the ability to like, have like the hygiene or access to fresh water and stuff like that. So there's definitely like a lot of things, and I don't know if there's a group that helps to fund like folks getting like menstrual products, but I'm sure there are folks doing that work. And if you're watching this and you're interested in doing that work, you should do it. Support it.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and it's like I don't exclusively use reusable product. Like when I'm in a pinch, I don't have, I use a tampon, and I think it's worth looking at it as a toolkit, and you are in charge of your own toolkit, and you know best what would go, what you use for your tools. And so this is, yeah, that I'm really glad you brought that up, because yeah, honestly, like doing the cup was like a big thing for me, because I was like, I don't want to spend $40 on something. Yeah, I wasn't, it's like, I don't want to spend $40 on something that's not going to work. That's a lot of money to spend on something that's not going to work. So what hopefully we can do is like the aspects of it that might deter you, or like help you find what could work or would work for you. I would, most brands, at least with the cup, will show you the like their cup, like, you know, the shape and whatever. And I know it's not scientific, but I would say, like, if you compare just by looking at them, unfortunately, if you're sight impaired, you might not be able to look at them, but I wish there was a way you could go around and feel different ones. But I feel there's a big part of our intuition where just by looking at different things, you'll be able to see, oh, I feel like that one would might work better for me. Like there's a certain amount of your intuition where if something like jumps out at you, then like there if you have the means, it's worth trusting. Um, but otherwise, the Diva Cup, I'd say it's the most accessible because you can just buy it in most pharmacies. And they have two sizes. They have what's called a pre and post birth. And I'm not a huge fan of that language because it's more just the, like I said, like I don't think it matters as much if you've given birth or not, because at least, and salt makes just generally bigger cups, and that's like if you do a lot of yoga, you might need a bigger cup. I'm not sure how it all works, but they have two sizes, and I think it would just be more of a like understanding of your body. It's like, oh, that looks like it would work for me. Um, and the I will say though, with the undies versus pads, the undies are pretty solid product, and I think if you are willing to make that upfront investment, I think it's like $40 for a pair. And then if you buy them in bundles, the price goes down, and of course prices vary amongst brands, but um, yeah, just one pair of undies, if you can like rinse and reuse it, uh, that can I don't know, they're awesome. And I sometimes when I look at the price of pads, like especially the overnight ones, even the cheapest option, it's like three of those equals one pair of panties. um so that's I think it's my favorite one.
Yeah, for sure. And Charlotte, I lost track of time, so we're coming up on the end, but I want to make sure we can share those resources with folks.
Yeah. So I know I sent you some PDFs. I don't know if we can like post them on the page, but there are two PDFs. One is of a zine about making your own reusable menstrual products, and one is just like a little guide to how they look. So let me see if I can share my screen. Yes, share. All right, everybody. All right, so this is the little zine. Um, that was created by pleasurepie.org. And so this will post on the Facebook page if you want to print it out and fold it up and use it. It's pretty cool, has lots of good resources. This is also a little zine slash, what is it? Like printable you can use, and it talks about cloth pads, menstrual cups, and sea sponges, and sort of goes into a little bit of a little detail in each one of those. The brands I was talking about, thinks this is in my experience, the company that has really great products. They're pretty accurate as far as for your sizing, and when they say like this one is for this flow, I'd say that they're pretty on point with their recommendations, and a lot of them have tons of reviews you can check out. This is the salt, which is one of the cups that I've tested out, and I think I got just like there's like a small and a like a smaller size and a larger size, and I bought the larger size, and that one is awesome. It's super comfortable. I don't really feel it when it's in there, or I don't feel it when it's in there, and it holds a lot. It can last for like 12 hours. The other thing I forgot to mention, which is again this little like side thing, but the other thing, if you're at home and you're a gardener or something, you can use your period blood to as a fertilizer. Just to
Yes. Put it in your compost.
put it in your compost, put it on your strawberries, like there's a lot of nutrients in your blood, and I'm sure the plants would love it. And then this is Joya, the other pad company. This one, I will say their size, they're a little cheaper, but their sizes are much smaller. I find for me, I ordered what I thought was my size, and I didn't order another pair to compare, because I just kind of use it and get squeezed. But if I was to buy another pair of these, I would go a size up than what I'm used to. And they have lots of options. And I didn't, Sam, if you have like a sea sponge company, I can pull up that website. But otherwise, I will stop share.
Yeah, I've purchased mine from Holy Sponge in the past. She's having some issues with finding a source for them that's ethically harvesting, so she's not selling them right now. But I'll share this that site when we add this to our YouTube channel, Advent Co-working Videos, as well. So Charlotte, thank you so much. I know there's so much more that we could talk about this. I think it's so important that we're having this conversation, and I really encourage more folks, like, we just have to talk about it. We just have to like normalize it. Menstruation is a normal thing that almost half of the population does at some point in their lives. And so, yeah, talk about it. It's not gross, it's not dirty. But Charlotte, if folks want to learn more or just get in touch with you about like all the other cool stuff you do, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way is you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is roar like Chewbacca, like Chewbacca. So it's just all one, roar like Chewbacca. Or you can send me an email, and this is a mouthful. It's Charlotte at tripsforkidscharlotte.org. So you have to type out the entire Trips for Kids Charlotte, but it's just Charlotte at tripsforkidscharlotte.org. Happy to answer questions, and yeah, if you about anything, or point you in the direction of more resources.
Awesome. And yeah, for our Advent members or guests who may be coming in, I will try to print out some of those zines soon and put them up in our library space. So keep a lookout for those. And yeah, thank you again, Charlotte. And thanks to everyone who has joined us today or later watching this video. I hope you'll join us again next Tuesday. Advent Member Talks is our weekly event. We go live on Facebook every Tuesday from 4:30 to 5 p.m. So thanks, and I hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam.
Bye.
Bye.